I really would like my old life back where I could walk the streets like a normal person, but got people coming up asking for money.
Some lottery wins ended so tragically, you'll think twice before buying a ticket again. These people thought they had hit the jackpot, but they ended up losing everything, some even their lives. So what terrible things happened to these so-called lucky people right after they were handed their millions? Number 12. David Lee Edwards. Let's start with David Lee Edwards. He was a man who went from prison to private jets in a single day. In 2001, David won $27 million in the Powerball lottery. Overnight, he went from an ex-convict struggling to make ends meet to a millionaire surrounded by luxury. But his story didn't stay glamorous for long. David and his wife Shauna were suddenly living a life they didn't understand. Expensive cars, mansions, private planes, they bought it all. Within a year, their lifestyle was out of control. They spent millions on parties, jewelry, and drugs, ignoring every piece of advice from their financial team. It's almost painful to think about. He had $27 million. He had enough to build a future for generations, yet it vanished like smoke. The couple's drug use spiraled so badly that they both ended up sick with hepatitis. Their massive home turned into a wreck, and their relationship fell apart. David, once called the luckiest man in Kentucky, became another cautionary tale of what happens when you are too reckless. By 2013, he was living in hospice care, broke, sick, and completely alone. Number 11. Jack Whitaker. Now, let's move to Jack Whitaker. Jack was already a millionaire when he won the $315 million Powerball jackpot in 2002. You would think someone who already had money would know how to handle more. But nope, it was not like that in this case. Jack's win became one of the most disastrous in lottery history. At first, he was everyone's hero. He donated money to churches, helped people in need, and showed off giant checks on TV. But soon his life turned chaotic. He was robbed multiple times. In fact, there was this one time when he lost over $500,000 he kept in his car. His generosity turned into a curse. Everyone wanted something from him. His name became public, and people started showing up at his house begging for help. But the worst part wasn't the money. It was what came after. His granddaughter Brandy had grown up in luxury after his win. She fell into addiction. In 2004, she was found dead under a tarp near her boyfriend's home. It was a moment that broke Jack completely. And it didn't stop there. His daughter later died too. Jack called the lottery the worst thing that ever happened to his family. He had money, power, and fame, but in the end, he lost what really mattered. Number 10. Abraham Shakespeare. Then comes Abraham Shakespeare, a man who wanted nothing more than peace and a simple life. In 2006, Abraham won $30 million from the Florida lottery. He was quiet, humble, and not the kind of guy who chased luxury. But once word spread, everyone wanted a piece of him. People begged, borrowed, and even scammed him. Abraham tried to help. He gave away money to those in need, but generosity made him a target. The real horror began when a woman named Dee Moore entered his life. She claimed to be helping him manage his fortune. In reality, she was draining it dry. Dee spent his money on herself. She bought cars, vacations, and a lavish home, while pretending Abraham was fine. But he wasn't. When he started questioning her, she silenced him in the most horrifying way possible. Dee murdered him and buried his body under concrete in her boyfriend's backyard. For months, she lied to everyone, sending fake messages pretending he was still alive. It's chilling to think about. The man who trusted everyone ended up betrayed by the person he trusted most. When the truth came out, Dee Moore was sentenced to life in prison. Number 9. Tiffany Hill. Now, Tiffany Hill's story feels even heavier because it happened not long ago. In 2020, a young woman from Oklahoma named Tiffany won over $2 million in the California lottery. It should have been a turning point in her life, a chance to give her daughter a better future. But within months, that dream became a nightmare. Tiffany had married a man named John Donato. At first, everything looked perfect. The house, the family, the smiles. But behind closed doors, it was a toxic, violent relationship. She tried to get out. She even told friends she was scared. One day, things reached a deadly point. In a tragic murder-suicide, John killed Tiffany, their baby, and himself. The news stunned everyone. Just 8 months after her big win, her life was gone. People close to her said she felt trapped, that her money only made things worse. It gave her husband more control, more jealousy, more rage. Number 8. Doris Murray. Then there is Doris Murray. She was a grandmother who just wanted a better life for her family. Doris won $5 million in the Georgia lottery on her 41st birthday. She planned to use it wisely, to take care of her grandchildren and live quietly. But her boyfriend couldn't handle her independence. When rumors started that Doris was breaking up with him, jealousy turned into rage. One day, after an argument, her boyfriend attacked her and took her life. The man she thought she loved became her killer. The police later found that her boyfriend tried to cover up his crime before admitting to it. Number 7. Joseph and E.B. Roncaoli. Next, we have Joseph and E.B. Roncaoli. They were a wealthy couple living in Ontario, Canada. When E.B. won $5 million in 1991, it should have been a happy chapter in their comfortable life, but things took a dark turn. Joseph was a respected doctor. He discovered that his wife had secretly given away a large part of their winnings, not to charity, but to a child from another relationship. That betrayal shattered him. Instead of walking away, Joseph chose revenge. He injected E.B. with a lethal dose of painkillers and ended her life. What's chilling is how calmly he tried to cover it up. He told people she had been ill and acted as if nothing was wrong. When investigators dug deeper, the truth surfaced, and Joseph was convicted of manslaughter. Number 6. Gerald Muswagon. If you think that was sad, listen to the story of Gerald Muswagon. He was a man from Canada who went from working a regular job to suddenly becoming a millionaire overnight. In 1998, Gerald won $10 million. At first, everyone around him celebrated. It was like a fairy tale beginning, but it didn't take long for things to go downhill. Gerald was a generous man, but generosity without limits is dangerous. He spent freely, throwing parties and buying gifts for everyone he knew. He built a big house, bought cars, and even opened a small business. But then reality hit him. People who once called him a friend started disappearing the moment he had less to give. To cope, Gerald turned to alcohol, and that choice made everything worse. He was arrested multiple times, his debts piled up, and his reputation collapsed. He became the example everyone talked about, the man who had millions and lost it all. His downfall reached its lowest point when he was charged with a serious crime, and his life completely fell apart. In 2005, he took his own life. Number 5. Billy Bob Harrell Jr. Now, we move to Billy Bob Harrell Jr. He was a kind man from Texas who worked at Home Depot before life changed overnight. When Billy won $31 million in 1997, he thought every problem was over. He quit his job the next day and started living big. He bought cars, homes, and even donated to his church. At first, everyone called him a hero, a local man who made it. But soon, that same kindness became the thing that broke him. Everyone wanted something. Family, friends, strangers, they all came asking for money. Billy couldn't say no. He gave until he had nothing left. His marriage started to crumble under the pressure. The man who had once wanted to make everyone happy realized he couldn't even save himself. In the end, Billy was lonely and drained. A few months later, he ended his own life. It's hard to imagine that winning millions could lead to that kind of sadness, but that's exactly what happened to Billy. Number 4. Willie Hurt. Next is Willie Hurt. In 1991, Willie, a father of 3, won $3.1 million in Michigan. He was described as cheerful and hardworking before the win. But that huge amount of money opened doors he was never meant to walk through. Instead of building a better life, Willie fell into the grip of addiction. Cocaine became his daily escape. The once smiling father turned into someone unrecognizable. The more money he spent, the worse his habits became. Within 2 years, his life was destroyed. His family was gone. His friends had left and his money had vanished. Then came the most shocking part. During a binge, he was accused of murdering a woman. From millionaire to inmate, Willie's fall was complete. It was a story that shook his entire community. People couldn't believe how quickly a winning ticket had turned into a curse. Number 3. Owen Dillard. Now, Owen Dillard's story sounds almost peaceful at first, but it ends in horror. Owen was a friendly man from the Bronx who had luck strike twice. He won the lottery 2 times in less than a year. Most people would see that as a miracle. He was known for helping his neighbors and giving to charity. But even good people attract danger when money is involved. Owen had been fighting an illness and his time was already limited. But someone decided not to wait for nature to take its course. One night, Owen's fiancée came home and found him dead. He was brutally stabbed. The investigation took a dark turn when police discovered the killer was someone close. It was his own nephew, Idris. And even worse, Idris had killed someone else just weeks later. The family was torn apart, and the neighborhood mourned a man who never did anyone wrong. Number 2. William Post III. Then there is William Post III. He won $16 million in 1988 and thought life was finally going his way. But if there's one thing this list proves, it's that the lottery exposes people's true colors. William was not rich before, and that's where things started to go wrong. Suddenly, everyone wanted something. His girlfriend, his family, his so-called friends. Within a year, the money was gone. His story gets even darker. His own brother hired a hitman to kill him, hoping to inherit what was left. William barely escaped alive, but life never got better. He was arrested later for threatening someone over his financial troubles. By the time he died in 2006, his millions were long gone and he was living on disability checks. Number 1. Lee Cost. Finally, let's talk about Lee Cost. He was not a millionaire, but his win was still life-changing. In 2007, Lee won $250,000 and thought it was enough to enjoy his retirement. He bought a Rolex, a couple of cars, and treated himself. He bought nothing too crazy, but people noticed. Word spread quickly, and suddenly, strangers and acquaintances started hanging around. Among them was a group of young people pretending to be friendly. They weren't there for friendship. They were planning something far worse. One night, they carried out their plan. A young woman lured Lee out to dinner, leaving his door unlocked for her accomplices. When he returned, 3 men ambushed him in his own home. They demanded his bank information and cash. When he resisted, they shot him. Lee's life ended over a few $1,000s. Police eventually caught the killers, but justice cannot bring back a life. These stories feel unreal, yet they all happened. Sometimes the biggest win comes with the darkest price. But not every lottery story ends in tragedy. Some winners actually turned their luck into a brand new life. If you want to see how these lucky millionaires are living today, then go watch our next video.